Health care reform faces challenges in both the House and Senate. Joining us now is Representative Brad Wenstrup, a Republican from Ohio. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
What is going to happen with the pro-life language in the House bill that bans these tax credits for health plans offering abortion coverage? Do you think it's going to make it through the Senate?
Well, that's going to be one of the challenges that we have to face. You know, first of all, let's be clear, abortion is not health care. I think we know that and recognize that. I'm not sure that everyone on the Senate side recognizes it in the way that we do. The House will have no problem, I think, in putting these provisions into the bill. And I don't think the White House has a problem with it. The Senate will have some concerns, and part of it may just be parliamentary more than anything else, which doesn't mean that we can't fight for some of these provisions later in regular legislation, which is part of the whole health care reform. But the question will be, can we get that to 60 votes? In reconciliation, we want to get as many of these provisions in as we possibly can that will be allowed by the Senate parliamentarian, because then you only need 50 votes.
A little complicated, but I think I got it. What happens if it doesn't pass the Senate?
Yes.
Where do you go?
Well, that's a good question. I think that we're all going to be faced with that. And if you just look at the health care bill in general, something has to be done. Because if you look at the situation with the exchanges, the providers are dropping off. Humana and Anthem are dropping out for 18. And so there'll be places that have nothing on the exchange, and yet people under this law will still be penalized if they don't choose to join the exchange. So we've got a lot of changes to make. We have an opportunity to get pro-life provisions in there that we have been working for so many years, and I hope that we can see that through, especially through reconciliation. Let's grab as much as we possibly can to save lives by doing it through reconciliation where we can get the votes in the Senate.
Here at EWTN, we cover a lot about Christian persecution. We'll have a report from Rome later about that. We also have somebody in studio. As an Iraq War veteran, you're a member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, and you're on the House Armed Services Committee. Why don't you tell us from your viewpoint what you think needs to be done to protect Americans and maintain the image of America as a safe haven for people fleeing war and religious persecution?
Well, I also just spent some time in the Middle East and was able to spend some time with Syrian refugees that were actually in Jordan, some that survived brutal attacks from the Syrian army. But we are a nation of immigrants and always have been. But I think it's important that we make sure that our vetting process is in place as we try to take care of people and do as much as we can overseas and help people in their own land with refugee camps.
Really quickly before we have to go, we're asking all new Catholic congressmen the role that faith plays in your work on Capitol Hill.
Well, to me, it means a lot. You know, there was a homily that I heard just recently here in Washington, D.C. that really hit home. And Father talked about the values of Catholics that have been there since the beginning of time, such as being against abortion and being in favor of life. But he asked the congregation, are you a Catholic first or are you a Democrat first? Are you a Catholic first or are you a Republican first? And I think as Catholics, we need to keep that in mind. You know, there's no doubt about it. This country was founded on a religious foundation, so there is nothing wrong with having religion be a part of your legislative process.
Very good. Representative Brad Wenstrup, Republican from Ohio. We hope to see more of you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. You bet.